Hey guys, Distler Magic here. You'll never guess why I haven't uploaded in the last couple days. I'll give you one guess. Oh boy, 6 seconds in and this is already not sounding great, but I had to come in because somebody posted this online and I've only read the first sentence and the title, and I'm already thinking, okay, I've been meaning to make this video for 2 years, but somebody beat me to it. Oh, they're so fast. They just got it in right before I did. I'm not even going to cite the source on this because it's unreliable. It's on the internet. It's anonymous, But I'm going to break it down and see if I can confirm this because I've got some statistical analysis. But before the video even starts, not even for legal reasons, but just to let you know, I don't have any insider information. I don't have any solid anything. But like for the Go First stuff on Arena, I've tracked over 1,000 games myself personally. I went first 18% of the time. That is statistically impossible. That can't happen. So like that kind of stuff I know, but I haven't seen the code. So when I say absolutely can confirm, or I don't know about that, or yes, I've also heard that, all my opinion. So this person starts with how specifically MTG Arena is rigged and why they're able to hide it. Disclaimer, I may or may not have ever worked on this game at one point. I don't believe him, but sure. I may or may not have signed an NDA. For legal reasons, I must state this post is satire. This is a throwaway count for obvious reasons. I will say their writing and grammar is good enough to be an intelligent programmer, I guess, but come on. So with all that out of the way, here is how MTG Arena is not a legitimate competitive experience. The point of the rigging is to ensure someone doesn't win too much to the best of the company's ability. Now that I can absolutely unequivocally confirm in my opinion. It's based on deck win rate, the matchmaking is rigged. Some of it is legitimately how you run a tournament and have for the last 50 years with any competitive anything. And they come out and say, yeah, there's an invisible ELO. Like that's what chess uses. But it's contained to individual tournaments. It's kind of how F&M always worked. And okay, but some of it's just like, no, you win too much, you're not going first to the end by. And they don't want freeloaders because freeloaders don't make them money. Just saying, that's my opinion as well. So the leaker goes on to say whether it is to give them a reason to buy more cards, to equal out the playing field, etc. I was not actually given a reason why they wanted to do this. How is it rigged? A number of ways not disclosed to the user base. Everyone knows about the land manipulation and best of one, but it goes well beyond that. Now let me just say, that's one of the few things where I'll back up and say, no, that's a fact. The developers came out and said that the number of lands in your opening hand is absolutely rigged. They take best of two just to prevent bad games from happening. In best of one, I completely agree with that, except for the 13 mountain abuse, which as far as I know to this day, they never acknowledged or patched. And it was right on display for the whole world at the top 32 in the tournament, live on Twitch. What an embarrassment. So first of all, the rigging is randomized, and this is the reason for a lack of evidence. I don't agree with that statement at all, but okay. I'm sort of surprised. I've never seen anyone, to my knowledge, figure this out. No, it's situational based on the number you did in the day. It's not even random. They're just wrong. I think this person's putting together observations and pretending that they worked on the game because the evidence is good enough that they could probably pull it off, but so far I'm not convinced. We'll see if anything changes my mind. Oh, I should probably disclose, I am originally a software engineer. I have 2 degrees in software engineering and web design, Photoshop, and web programming and database design. I took some cross electives. So while I haven't worked in software engineering for the last 20 years, I've worked in IT on and off. So yeah, I've written some software suites back in the day. I was pretty good at it. I've been out of the loop, but I know how programming works and code works just at a general level, even if I don't know Unity and don't know Arena. So what they can and can't do and how they would pull it off in the code, I have a little advantage on that. So post goes on. The game will make you lose, but in many different ways that I'll get into more detail about below. The rigging is in every mode of play, best of one, best of three, ranked and non-ranked. Not entirely true. They turn it off for paid entry tournaments. I will go first 50% of the time in a draft. The draft system, the reward system, is just made to be like a loss leader, a ripoff, a sink, a hole, whatever you want to call it, where the majority of players don't come out ahead. So the more people that participate, someone's going to lose in the end, kind of like a casino. Unless you play the way I do at casinos. Yeah, sometime in the next 10 years I'll make that video showing you guys how to always win without breaking the law. Oh, the other reason is because 'tis the season. I was hitting a couple casinos in the last couple weeks. I made just short of $5,000 with my crew, so I felt like taking some time off. And then right when I felt like coming back, I was horribly sick. So yeah, I wasn't feeling so good for that stream on Friday. Sorry about that, and it made my throat worse. And I have to go into work on Monday, so... Wait, what is this video about? So first of all, every 200, this number can and will change frequently games you play. It's going to try to make sure you only win about half of them. Oh, so that's the sample size for the target. Okay, I could see that. But in semi-randomized intervals. As you get closer to that 200 number and the desired result hasn't been reached yet, it will greatly increase the rigging. And that's when you'll see a string of seemingly impossible odds and card interactions. That doesn't... Let me reread that. So an ongoing weighted average that ensures an outcome, they actually have publicly admitted that that exists in the pack opening system. For every pack that you open that doesn't have a wild card in it, the odds of getting a wild card increases, and that target is 45, I believe they said. Or was it 15? I don't know. Or like every certain number, it'll just go automatic, or it'll increase to like double the odds. Or they publicly disclosed they had a table, a chart, all that from the devs. So they already have that in the system as like a logical thing to do. It's also very common, basic math. So I could see this being true, but 200 seems a bit off. I've had decks starting to get rigged, but it's not per deck is what he's saying. It's per game. When I've seen it be entirely per deck. They will give you 3 softball opponents when you have a new deck built. The end. So there might be all these little exceptions to kind of keep you on your toes, but I've seen where I win way too much and my opponents start pulling really funny stuff, and then they'll start sending me against that one deck over and over and over because they found out that my win rate's 75% and they need to do something. Let's just step back for a second. Why would they care? I'm one person. There's gonna be people in the top 1,000 of Mythic. Just let them get there. Who cares? They're gonna get there one way or another. So his theory, this person posting, and I assume it's a he because everybody playing Magic is a male pretty much. Oh, there's one they lied about. They said it was like 40% female or something. No, it's not. Sorry. Never has been. My channel's 98% male. And just because I'm 169% male doesn't mean that I attract my like types, okay? The couple female viewers on this channel absolutely adore me. Thank you very much. But now we chill. This ain't the Sausage Party channel. My gender doesn't come into anything. It's just that's who plays the game. Every Democrat... Every demographic report I've ever seen from a third party points to overwhelmingly male for the players. Wizards of the Coast is the only numbers that don't add up. Anyway, so this probable guy seems to be saying that they want everyone at a 50% win rate or as close as they can get, so it takes the longest amount of time to get to Mythic. Because once you get to Mythic, I mean, you're going to get more competitive to stay there. I don't know. That's where it kind of falls apart. But to get there, you'll keep thinking, I need more Mythics, I need more rares, I need to build a second deck, I need to switch to the next meta deck in the tier 1 meta, So some companies have been accused of or have admitted, I think, doing this in like competitive shooters and especially like battle royales. If you get a little too good with mediocre gear and mediocre levels and, no premium stuff, they'll put you up against someone who is amazing, so that you say, oh man, I thought I was pretty good. I'm happy with how I'm doing with the game. I don't need to get better. So they'll put you up against like absolute long-time pros on purpose multiple times so that you'll say, I need their gear. I need to do things their way. I need their build. I need their equipment. I need an XP boost so I could do this. So that could be the overall strategy. I could kind of see that. And the people that were brought in to originally write the arena beta are kind of from that scene. I'm not going to like point anyone out or point fingers because I don't even know, but they're from the competitive professional gaming scene. So that concept ain't new to them. And WotC and Hasbro came in and said, make as much money as possible. Find a way to do it. Well, where would they go first? So this is plausible, but I still, reading this so far, don't believe this person. A lot of what they're saying is pretty true or suspected, but I don't believe them. So they do say, and I can confirm this, especially if you have a brand new deck and you lose like 12 times in a row with it, your opponents will be way easier, and not just because you're ranking down, okay? That's not what it is. So he says, if you lose too much, that one anonymous blog post a while ago that showed you tanking, that said that you should tank a bunch at the beginning of your new rank, like when you get to rank 4 platinum, then be more likely to win is a good example of this happening. Wrong. It's per deck. I'm telling you. However, it will happen after any string of losses or wins, regardless of being at the start of a new rank or not. I actually showed this live on stream and it seemed to work. I forfeited like 15 games in a row with a brand new deck, or what I tricked Arena into thinking was a new deck. And then my next opponent was like basically running a welcome deck. And we were in the Diamond League. I stomped them in the face. And then my next opponent was almost equally as inept. And then I think the third one just forfeited on turn 1 and we have no idea why. So that one is interesting because you are going to leave the game and not come back if you lose 15 in a row. Okay, that's a safety net. I could all but confirm that that's in the game, in my opinion. So he goes on to say the rigging will happen in many ways, including rigging the shuffling. I can confirm that. Putting you up against a deck that will counter yours. I can 1,000,000% confirm that, in my opinion. I said it at the beginning of the video. You guys know what I'm saying. And Mana Flood and Starview. I can also absolutely confirm that. I've actually called it out right before it happened. I know the numbers, I know the percentages, I know how it works in draft, I know how it works in standard constructed. So, yep. So, if you go first or not, like I said, cut the opinion crap. I confirmed that. I tracked it and I confirmed it, the end. When the game wants you to lose, it will randomize the way it does it. Sort of like putting all the ways into a hat and using randomized code to pick one out. That's why I won an unnatural amount with a deck that can run on 2 mana, because they kept flooding me, or starving me, just total mana desert. But that was actually helping because it was more boost spells. So because the deck was so fast and had such a high win rate, I don't know if it's based on CMC win rate or both, but or average turn when you win. They could track that, all 3 of those. They started letting me go first. I believe I described it as never. If I'd lose 2 or 3 in a row, they'd ease up a little bit, but basically, even on live stream, you guys saw it, 20 games in a row I went second. The odds of that happening are 1 divided by 2 to the 20th power. So in other words, no. It's not even a number, it's the word no. Put it into a calculator, it'll just say, nope, comma, LOL, you've been scammed. If it's a graphing calculator, you can fit that on the screen. By the way, shout out to my middle school math teacher who said that you'll never just have a calculator on you at all times. Proved you wrong. I've seen the game throw everything at me when I have an anomalous win rate, okay? It's not my own perception. I've played thousands and thousands of games. I know because they email me the stats every time there's a new release. I know when it's rigging it, and I know when it's not. They've already admitted when people suspected that they rigged the opening hand mana, when people said it's a little too consistent. Very, very few zero landers, and they came out and said, yeah, we're doing that on purpose to prevent bad games. Everybody's like, oh, okay. But people, it's a great system, but people are pissed that they were rigging it behind the scenes and only admitted it when they were called out on it. So what else are they rigging? There's no way in hell that's the only thing they're rigging, in my opinion. There's also the fact that people would export and then re-import their deck after deleting the original, and they would find that they found way, way, way easier opponents for a little bit, and then do it again, do it again, do it again. Plus the people saying go to unranked or the beginning of a rank, either one, and just spike losses. Both of those seem to stop working very shortly after somebody posted that, and it got real big in the community. Well, at least one of those seemed to stop as obviously working. And yeah, you could have a similarity engine really easily. The cards have unique IDs. It's not hard. So after over-explaining how the numbers work, they say the more extreme rigging occurs as you win despite more mild efforts to try to stop you. Now that I can confirm, you guys have seen it live. However, even the extreme methods are randomized. So then he goes on to lose all credibility by saying, also sometimes you are playing against bots. A forfeit bot, maybe. And they've all had very suspicious usernames that look like they were auto-generated or off a list or something. It's like a fake username somebody would create for a Hollywood movie where it looks right, but it looks too right, you know? It's not a silly meme reference. It's not like an in-culture geek reference. It's just, oh yeah, that's an online username. I will say that besides just forfeit bots or Sparky, there are no bots on Arena. I don't buy that. I don't believe it. I've watched mouse drag highlights when I thought a game was suspicious, because I kind of had it in the back of my mind when people were saying, I'm like, oh, I'll check if I'm playing against bots. And if I suspect something, I'll send it a mote, I'll slow play, I'll, whatever, see if they respond. And it's very, very clearly a human. They'll get butthurt and time me out. They'll slow play that I can see like their mouse cursor hover over the cards in a very distinct pattern. I've never confirmed playing against a bot where everything's consistent. Like I said, if they're going to fake it, they must have done a damn good job. But there's certain things like human personality and like how they would respond to me spamming an emote, or how I hover over their cards to flicker it and then they do it back to me. Like, you can't or won't have a bot do that. There's certain ways to communicate and to embed like human personality into very advanced branching reactions that they would not have time to do. You know, just targeting spells twice because they messed it up and I'm like, oh yeah, that's the 4 mode one and they clicked it wrong. Okay, you know, you could write a bot to do that, but it's not within practical effort, in my opinion. And this just gets worse. He goes on to say, this is a large part of the reason they won't add in-game chat. No, it's because they don't want to police it, okay? It's not because you're playing against bots. It's ridiculous. At this point, there's so few players left, I know them all by name pretty much, so in the high leagues at least. And they're not bots. A lot of them are assholes, but they're human assholes. So his justification is when the game's rigging doesn't work, as it's not perfect since they don't want to make it too obvious, they use bots. Ever played against a player with 100 plus cards that somehow had a perfect response to your obscure anti-meta jank that wins a lot? Yes. All the time I have. That was probably a bot. I've had people with 150 to 200 to 250 cards just pull exactly what they need, and it pisses me off. But I usually recognize their username, and it's usually a human, and they usually act like a human. But now that I've heard that that's what it is, although I don't believe this person, I'm going to test it, and I'm going to record it. So yeah, follow up in the future, subscribe if you don't want to miss it. So they just, right after that, they end with, you can choose to believe all of this or not. Also, feel free to share it. Well, I do not believe this person. They didn't say anything about code. They didn't reference language-specific stuff, versions, dates, patch notes, lies, any staff references, anecdotes, nothing. This is just observations, and they barely tried to pass it off as, oh, I used to work on it. And they even say I may or may not have ever worked on the game. Come on, this is written by like some obnoxious teenager, I could tell just by the style. I actually cut out parts of this, so yeah, it's BS. But I guess I'll throw in a guy tracked, I think it was like 1 million or 10 million games or 2 million, some absurd amount with a third-party plugin. And he found a whole bunch of anomalies in the shuffler, but it was an actual glitch where cards already in your hand were being treated as though they were overrepresented in the deck, and they never came out and said they fixed it, but it was the exact percentage that you would think. So that's why people were like getting like 3 lightning bolts or lightning strikes, whatever. And it would just always seem like people, even you yourself, would you know, start with 2 or 3 of the same card and then pull even more of it. It's because it was treating the deck like a full deck. But they appear to have fixed it. The same person followed up and said, it's down to variance in the shuffler works perfectly. But the way they were tracking it and when they were tracking it and what WotC said to them, potentially, and then the removal of like all third-party trackers after that because they wanted to hide the active user account or user count. Yeah, all suspicious. I don't know. That follow-up's real interesting. Well, that was a flaw that was identified. It seemed to be an accident. And, yeah, they didn't catch it. They didn't know about it. So when they were saying it's not rigged, as far as they knew it wasn't, but it was. They just didn't know it. I was pretty early on in the beta, though. And I'm so sick of stupid people in the comments saying, well, it's a Fisher-Yates shuffle, and that doesn't work because something that was a flaw in the 1980s. No, it does. The way they implemented it potentially could work. You'll just have to take my word for it. I'm not going to explain it. Well, the only way we're going to confirm any of this is if we have Elon Musk buy Hasbro or WotC and then just leak all the code in the comments and say, yeah, these are bots. This was rigged. Oh, here's how this code works. And I'm removing it. But I don't think he's going to do that. A lot of people in the comments were saying, oh, that's too hard. They wouldn't go that far. They didn't have the budget. They didn't have the time. Dude, I could write this in a week. It's such simple tracking and logic, and the infrastructure's already there. And they started purging stuff from the log files, and like all the evidence that they would, and possibly did do most of this is there. Seems like everybody's on the page that as soon as you switch decks, even if you're in the same exact ranking, same everything, you will suddenly go up against completely different opponents. They seem to have calmed down on that, but they might just not have the player pool or the deck variety anymore. Not at all times of the day, at least. getting wins at a certain time of the day. I'm not going to jump down that rabbit hole, but some pros have told me that's how they rank up. And they've proposed theories about why that is. They make sense to me, and I've seen the same. So basically everything is rigged. For sure the deck tracking, for sure the matchmaking, and for sure the go first system. Those are the most likely or outright proven by me personally and by other people who replicated my results. But I have noticed an enormous amount of people still to this day forfeiting the second I get into a match recently after I rank up, which means they're also around rank 4 in whatever level they are, and they're trying to drive up their loss count on their account or their deck so that they can shoot out of the league. And if you have a deck that you know is kind of balanced, there's a high variety and all the decks kind of rock, paper, scissors each other, it is going to be almost impossible to get out of Platinum and into Diamond or Diamond to Mythic with it. That's just the truth. It is what it is. But if you can rig your next 20 opponents, yeah, there you go. So take everything with a grain of salt, believe what you want to believe, and even though it's my opinion that this person is a fake liar, the reason it didn't get downvoted to oblivion is because they have stated some things that are very heavily suspected or already statistically, anecdotally proven, and I use that term proven loosely, by the community to be true. So, yeah. So hey, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.